Hey family, it's your girl Mrs. Rance. I'm back with another video. It is Fun Friday today, which is day 8, I think, of Vlogmas. And I wanted to come at you guys today with a fun video, which is a throwback tag video. And I was inspired to do this by friends of mine. A lot of friends of mine recently have been talking about throwback kind of stuff or do you remember when kind of stuff. And I thought it'd be nice to do the tag. I am going to tag some people. I'll send this video to them directly, the people I plan on tagging. But by all means, do the tag yourself. It's a lot of fun to kind of think back to then. So I am going to be telling my age on this, but it's worth it so you get to know me better. So I am going to be looking off to the side here to look at the questions because I do have them like right here so you can know that's what I'm looking at. But question number 1 says, what year were you born in? I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1980. Do you have pictures of yourself when you were younger? If you do. From the 80s, oh, the 80s, they were a glorious time. I must say so myself. To be fair, I did not dress myself. Number 3, what TV shows did you grow up watching? Okay, so this one is fairly easy. I don't remember watching a whole lot of TV, but I remember watching certain shows that you would kind of tune in for. I was like an outside kid. I like to play outside a lot or at a friend's house or whatever. I was more into play than I was into like lounging around and watching TV. But I do remember watching like Sesame Street as a little kid. And I remember watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as a little kid and a couple other PBS kind of shows. And then I also remember watching Saturday morning cartoons with my older brother. And it was always like the Looney Tunes and things like that. And the other things that I remember watching were sitcoms. So like everybody else, we watched like The Cosby Show. We watched Different World. I remember watching St. Elmo's Fire, I think is the name of it. I can't remember, but it was like, I don't know. And then when ER came out, I thought it was the same thing. I know, I sound really old, but those were real shows. I remember watching Doogie Howser, things like that. Things that appealed to me as a kid. So number 4, what did you want to be when you grow up and do you still want to be that? So I thought I was going to be an astronaut. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I thought I was going to be a dentist. I thought I was going to be a doctor. I had all these aspirations, an astronomer. I had like phases where I wanted to be something. Do I want to be any of that? Not at all. I'm very happy being a housewife. That is really what I want to be. And I'm so glad to be doing like my favorite job ever. So number 5 says, show a video of yourself when you were younger. Okay, real talk. My mama didn't have no camera when I was growing up. Not a video camera. We did have like a point and shoot camera, a 35mm. We had a 110 camera for a little while. So we had like snapshot cameras. We just didn't have any video cameras at that time. And just so I'm clear, like nobody had that where I grew up. So it was like not like an odd thing. And it's just that it's not something that people purchased back then. Home movies just weren't a thing in my community. So then number 6 says, what were your favorite toys to play with? Okay, hands down, I played with Barbie dolls, Cabbage Patch Kids. I loved the sit and spin when I was really little. I loved roller skates. I still do own a pair of roller skates. I love roller skating. What's another one? Jump rope. I used to double dutch. I do love jumping rope. So those are kind of the things I pretty much stuck to. But I really did have an extensive Barbie doll collection that I ended up giving away. So shout out to my cousins. Hey, keeping the baby dolls in the family. Number 7, what's the most embarrassing thing that you can remember doing? Okay, so real talk, the most embarrassing thing I ever remember doing is that my double dutch team was actually sponsored by the Girl Scouts of America, and they did an end of the year dinner for us. So we went to this really fancy restaurant, and the Boy Scouts also, the Boy Scouts that were part of our community center also went. So it was like a boy-girl thing, and we were probably like 10 years old. And I can remember having on a pretty dress and pretty shoes and like I had my nails painted. I thought I was everything, okay? And this little boy at the end of the meal pulled my ponytail. Y'all, I lost my mind. And I got to fighting with him right in the middle of the restaurant. And it was so embarrassing, I'm sure, for our double dutch coach and all the people that were involved that took us to this nice restaurant. And I know they were like, you can't take kids nowhere. And I felt so bad after that. But I made sure I let him know, you don't just go around pulling hair. So yeah. Number 8, read something you wrote when you were in kindergarten. I don't have anything that I wrote in kindergarten. My mom has some things that she has kept. She probably has those things, but I do remember when I was in maybe 1st or 2nd grade, writing a little poem about roses are red, violets are blue. I think I wrote this little poem to my mom, and I think it was something like roses are red, violets are blue. I love cereal and I love you. It was like one of those weird things like that. So I'm not an eloquent writer. The next question is, okay, so number 9, 3 songs you love to listen to as a child. Okay, so I'm going to pick one that's era-based. So when I was really little, I used to love listening to Salt and Pepper's Push It. I probably have no business listening to it, but I used to love me some Push It, and I used to do those dance moves and everything. The next phase of my life, I think, was when I really got into, I'm ashamed to say, I'm not really ashamed as much as I am surprised I'm saying this on camera, but I used to love me some Crisscross. And girl, when I Missed the Bus came out and Jump came out, I knew every single word for sure. When I got a little older and I got into more, a little more hip hop, I started listening to Tupac, and I was listening to the song I Get Around. And I remember one summer I sat with my cousins and I had to learn that song word for word. Like I said, I had no business probably listening to that or memorizing the words to that because of what it says. But I can remember loving that song so much because it was such a party song. And, you know, when you're in high school, you just kind of, you can't help yourself. What can I say? I was dumb and young. Okay, so the next one is number 10. What was one funny thing you dressed up as for Halloween for when you were younger? Okay, so real talk, we didn't do a whole lot of Halloween, but when we did, every single year my costume was homemade, and every single year I was the same thing. I was a princess for probably 6 years straight until I finally just stopped dressing up for Halloween altogether. It was an aluminum foil crown and an aluminum foil scepter and a pretty Easter dress that I had. And I had to wear it on top of sweatpants because in upstate New York, it's super cold in October. So I remember wearing like Hanes sweats and then my Easter dress on top of that. And then this metal crown made out of tinfoil and my scepter made out of tinfoil. And my trick-or-treating bag was almost always a grocery shopping bag. So yeah, we did Halloween a little low budget because really my mother was not about to spend money on no Halloween costume. It just is what it is. So I don't know if that was funny or just kind of, you know, you be the judge of that. All right, so number 11, tell a funny story of something you remember happening when you were young. So funny story, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. But I can remember my brother picked a fight with me. And we kind of got into a tussle. He body slammed me into the toilet because I think he was trying to just do it by the bathroom, and my long leg went and hit the toilet. My toenail popped off. My mother was where I work at the time. I called her and she was like livid, and I can remember my whole toenail bled and it fell off. It was a mess, but it's funny now that me and my brother talk about it because he doesn't remember it happening that way, the way I remember it happening. And it's kind of interesting because I'm pretty sure the argument was over the remote control of the TV at the time because we had one TV and it was a floor model in the living room. And I'm pretty sure we were arguing over who was going to watch what. So number 12, are there any special things you've kept from when you were a child? Nope. I'm never have been attached to things. Thank goodness. I'm not, I think my mother is more of a collector than I am. I'm less of a collector because I just don't see me holding on to things. Like I'm the first one. It's like, oh, this, and this, that can go to Goodwill. This can go there. I'm giving this to a friend. I mean, I have been to the point where I had a friend compliment my earrings one time and I took them off and was like, here, girl, they're yours now. Just clean them with a little alcohol. That's you. You can have them. I'm just not attached to things so much. And I'm not into collecting too much stuff. I try to keep all of that to a minimum because when you're dead and gone, you can't take any of it with you. So I said all that to say I don't have anything from when I was a kid. So number 13, what was something weird you used to do as a child? All right, so I was a thumbsucker, and I was a thumbsucker extraordinaire. And what I mean by that, it's not really weird. I guess it's just one of those habits, but I can remember my brother putting duct tape on my thumb. I would chew that off in my sleep. I remember them putting hot sauce and all kinds of stuff. And it was one of those things that I just had to have my thumb. I regret it now because I'm sure my bite and my teeth have suffered. It's like a minor suffering because I did give it up on my own. Nobody wants to be teased at school for being the thumbsucker. So there's that. The other weird thing I used to do a lot is I used to clip my fingernails and then keep the fingernails in one place in my room. Like I would always keep them there instead of just throwing them away right away. I don't know why I did that. And it wasn't until years later, I didn't even think about it until years later I saw a Austin Powers movie, and the guy was like, he was taking dead skin off and saying he was gonna keep it in the skin box. And you know, I chuckled and laughed at that with my husband, but I thought to myself, man, I used to do that with fingernail clippings. And now I can't stand to see fingernails laying anywhere. So weird, but true. Number 14, what is the scariest thing you remember that happened to you when you were younger? So really the scariest and most traumatic thing to happen to me as a little kid has to hands down be the Thriller video. I was real little when that came out, and my older cousins and all of that, everybody was going to sit around. It was like on either a Friday, I think it was a Thursday or Friday night. It was like the world premiere of the video. It was the extended version, and it was coming on, I want to say it was coming on MTV. And at that time, a lot of black artists just weren't on MTV, but whatever it was like we had to sit and watch this Thriller event, so to speak. And my cousins were all hyping it up, but when that thing came on, you guys, I was scared to death. I was shaking. I was crying. And then I didn't want to watch anymore. I would cover my eyes, and they would pull my arms down and say, no, you got to watch this. This is iconic. You got to watch this. You got to watch this. I'm glad I did. And it's one of my favorite songs to this day. However, it freaked me out. It traumatized me. Let me tell you something. It traumatized me. But that is probably the scariest thing I remember. And then the last question, number 15. How is the world different from how it was when you were a child? OMG, everything is so different. Like, I can't remember having half the things my kids have, not even a third of what they have. I can remember the first time my mom let me use her cell phone, and it was one of those clunky ones. It was like the Zach cell phone from Saved by the Bell, but it had like a flip down bottom. It was by Motorola. And I can remember it was like taking out a brick to talk on it, but she gave it to me like for emergencies. And it was the weirdest thing ever. And now phones are so like there's so much more than that. It's like a miniature computer in your hands. I can remember just the difference in how kids dress and how things look and how they behave. And like when I was a kid, you couldn't be caught dead sagging your pants in the street. Like that came along way later. I also remember there was a different code of ethics on the street. Like even though people were doing dirt and doing illegal things, they still had a heart. Like I joke around all the time, but it was a true thing that there would be ladies of the night in my neighborhood and alcoholic men that hang out at like the local bar. But if they saw you and your siblings walking, like I can remember, they used to yell at my brother and say, hey, hold your sister's hand crossing the street and stuff like that. Like stuff like they had a heart. I don't know how to explain it. But now it's not like that. And I mean, it's so scary sometimes for kids, but it's also a time of just great imagination and great like expansive thought and just all of the technological advances. So, I mean, I kind of capitulate back and forth about what's good and what's bad and what's different. But one thing that has always stayed the same is just the love that people show each other. When there is true love showing there, it really is like that. Like when I see people reaching out to help each other, when I see, you know, like it's genuine. Like I can remember not feeling shy about being kind to somebody in the street. And I'm still like that. I still want to treat people with kindness and respect because honestly, I think we all deserve to be treated with respect. I mean, we're all human. We're all on this planet together. We should respect and love one another. So that is it for the throwback tag. I am going to tag a few people. I know it probably wasn't as interesting, but it is as truthful as I can be about what I can remember from that time. And as I approach 40, I'm getting closer to 40, I start thinking more and more about like, you know, how things were back then, how they are for my kids now. Because I remember my mom saying, well, when I was your age, blah, 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 fill in the blank. And now I'm like that. I'm like, well, kids, when I was your age. And so, yeah, I'm turning into my mom. But anyway, that's about it for the throwback tag. If you're wondering, just for some bonus info, my hair, I washed it, I blow dried it, and then I did flat twist going to the back. So this is a chunky twist out that's kind of gotten a little frizzy. But, yeah. That's what that's looking like. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please thumbs up if you enjoy tags, because I am going to be doing a couple of more tags throughout the month. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you guys on the next video.